Well, good morning. Is this on, Chris? It is now. Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to our 300-day grazing symposium. I want to thank the AFGC Planning Committee and John Andre as the chair for having us be part of the program this year. I just want to kind of run through quickly how the program is going to progress. It'll be one continuous program, but we'll have stops and potential time for questions. If you want to ask questions during any time, just feel free, but there should be plenty of time at the end to have some discussion. The way we'll start it off is Dr. Tom Troxell, sitting right over here, will make the introduction, get the program started. I'll give the update on the forage aspects of the program. Dr. Shane Gadberry will follow that with the livestock management part of the 300-day grazing program, and then Dr. Troxell will finish it up with the budget and the financial part that we've collected on the Livestock Forestry Research Station part of the program. So let's see, Kenny and Steve aren't here yet, but we'll go ahead and get started, and Dr. Troxell.
Thank you, John. Good morning. We really do appreciate the opportunity to discuss the 300-day grazing program today, and thank the program committee for having us here at the conference. First off, the 300-day grazing program was initiated because of the tremendous increase in production costs, and those production costs came down to the what we call the 3 F's: feed, fertilizer, and fuel. And this occurred back in about the 2005, 2006 time frame. And feed, fertilizer, and fuel, no other time that I had experienced where all 3 of these input costs increased so dramatically. And if you take a look at what happened over that time period, if you look at this graph on the y-axis, I have a price, of course, but the yellow line is the price of corn. And price of corn in 2003, 4, 5 was right around $2 a bushel. And you can see what happened in the years 2005, and price of corn increased dramatically. Well, price of corn in 2012 pushed $8 a bushel. It's backed off since then, but it increased dramatically. The red line is the price of diesel. And many of you probably paid price of diesel close to about $4 a bushel, or $4 a gallon. So the price of diesel increased tremendously. I grew up in northern Illinois, and back when I was a boy, the price of corn was people were arguing the price of corn was it going to be $1.64 a bushel or $1.65 a bushel for years. And so all these input costs increased dramatically. If you look at price of fertilizer, it doesn't matter if you talked about triple 13, triple 17, urea, ammonium nitrate. They were all right around $200 a ton back in 2002 to 2003 time frame. Well, in 2012, they were up around $500 to $600 a ton. So these are the 3 F's that we were talking about: feed, fertilizer, and fuel. And all 3 of these input costs increased dramatically. So as a result of these input costs, we got some feedback from our county extension agents and our county agent advisory committee. And we thought as a result of this that we need to come up with some sort of way to become more efficient with our pasture management and how we feed hay. Hay is extremely expensive, and therefore we needed to be more efficient with pasture management, with hay management, and feed management. Feeding hay is necessary, so how can we be more efficient with how we feed hay? And so as a result of this planning, a 300-day grazing program was formed. There are a number of different demonstrations with the 300-day grazing program, and we have initiated 146 demonstrations in 50 counties across the state. The different demonstrations that we've initiated are hay management with reducing storage and feeding losses of hay, stockpile forages with warm and cool seasons, rotational grazing, complementary forages with winter and summer annuals, legumes, and whole farms. With the demonstrations of hay management, stockpile forages, rotational grazing, complementary forages, and legumes, those demonstrations in by themselves won't reach 300 days of grazing, but they can extend the grazing period. The whole farms are attempts to try to extend the grazing period to 300 days. These are the people that are involved with the 300-day grazing program. Kenny Simons is a program associate. This is Kenny over here. Stand up, Kenny. Kenny is the backbone of the 300-day grazing program. He's the one that goes out and implements these demonstrations, and he's the one that collects the demonstration data and summarizes the data. If you want to know what works and what doesn't work, you need to talk to Kenny. Dr. Gadberry is our beef nutritionist, and he'll speak here in just a minute. Of course, Dr. John Jennings, he provides leadership with the forage component of the 300-day grazing program. Steve Jones just walked in. Steve, stand up. Our grazing program is more than just beef cattle. It also involves small ruminants, and he's worked with the small ruminant population of the state, which has grown tremendously. Don Hubble is the experiment station director at our livestock forage experiment station at Batesville, Arkansas. And the reason why he's on the program is because when we started the 300-day grazing program, I made the comment that if we're going to teach producers how to graze cattle for 300 days, maybe we should get a herd and see if we could do it ourselves. And Don Hubble volunteered a herd of cattle to see if we could do it ourselves. And we'll report on some of that information for you today. The goal for the herd that we manage to try to graze cattle for 300 days is a 90% net calf crop, average 550 pounds weaning weight, and reduce supplemental feeding to 60 days or less. That's our goal. Now, we've not achieved all those goals, but we've achieved most of those goals. But those are our goals, and we'll talk about those throughout the program today. I'll provide the introduction, and I'm just about ready to wrap that up. Dr. Jennings will provide the pasture projects and management of how we've handled the pastures and the results of those projects. Dr. Gadberry will talk about the cattle management of our 300-day grazing project at Batesville, how we've managed those cattle there and results of the cattle practices. And then I'll wrap up of how we've managed the budget at the Batesville Station demonstration. And I will warn you that I am not an economist. Dr. Jennings.